Most our thoughts with John Tavares after what was a horrific injury here at Scotiabank Arena. And Chris Johnston, we heard from Sheldon Keefe the good news, updating that John Tavares is in hospital. He's in stable condition. He's communicating well. So that is very good news for the Maple Leafs as well as John Tavares. Now, we heard from the players. We heard from Keefe. What did they have to say about just going through that moment and how difficult it was to really find their game after that?
Well, it was frightening. You know, we've both covered a lot of sports and hockey games, and I can't recall anything like that. Sheldon Keefe, played in the NHL and has been coaching for a long time, said he doesn't ever remember anything being quite that jarring. And you could see it on the bench. Austin Matthews took his helmet off. He was emotional. Mitch Marner, a lot of the Leafs players gathered around John Tavares. And I think it's only natural. This play happened just past the midway point of the first period. They still had most of the game to go and obviously half a period to play. And I think they were pretty stunned, certainly for the rest of that first period. It had an impact on I'm sure, their execution, just their ability to focus. And, we got to remember these guys are humans too through something like this. So, I think it did have an impact, not just by shortening the bench and all sort of the obvious hockey reasons there. And it stood out to me that Nick Foligno said that they're just most disappointed they couldn't get a win because of that, because that's where you try to summon yourself in a moment like this as an athlete. And I think the Leafs did as well as they could under the circumstances, but it certainly had an effect on their play.
Now, we knew coming into this series that the power play was an issue for the Toronto Maple Leafs. How much of an issue was it in Game 1?
I think the biggest issue, look, they give up Paul Byron's winning goal shorthanded, so that's going to sting a little bit. But I think also the fact they spent 3 full days of practices, Shawn, from the end of the regular season, before the playoffs, their first real extended chance to work on it. They talked about starting fresh. They had some new units, and then they're 0 for 5 in this game. And, they certainly generated a lot, I think a lot more than we saw late in the regular season. Austin Matthews had some look. He rang a shot off the post. Carey Price had a factor in the Canes killing those penalties, but the questions remain, and they're still going to persist. And it made a huge difference in this game. The Leafs were able to kill off some penalties, which was a positive, but not cashing in, giving up that shorthanded goal, and then getting a power play really late in the game and not scoring again. That's going to sting for this team, because they're really trying to gain momentum there, and it doesn't make sense with the players they have, that they have not the kind of success rate you'd expect.
Now, quickly, I'll ask you, Carey Price in the playoffs, is that a guy that you never want to count out?
Well, we certainly won't. And we saw it in the bubble against Pittsburgh last August. He hasn't played an NHL game in a month heading into this one, and he was spectacular. He stopped Matthews on numerous chances, the great save in the third period on Mitch Marner on a 2-on-1 there. And that's a factor for the Leafs. They have to generate more on him and get more pucks behind him, because if not, that's sort of the recipe for an upset win in this series for the Canadiens.